Hello and welcome to this idea by your narrator comment. r/askreddit xcons. What is the most FD up thing about prison that nobody knows about? My brother is a co, and he told us why the inmates have shampoo and soap that comes in packets now. They used to have it in little bottles. Well, the guys would use up all their soap, and instead of throwing the bottle away, they would keep it and fill it with a combination of whatever bodily fluids they felt was appropriate and use it to hold up other inmates for their commissary. Like, if you don't give me your commissary, I'm going to squirt this bottle in your face. And when they said no and got squirted in the face, they got pinky. My brother said a lot of people had pinky. Shit was always one of the ingredients in the bottle. People get paid to gaze into the dark abyss. That is your a-hole. Not an ex-con, but former prison librarian. Inmates are not allowed to have intimate relations, including with themselves. They can get infractions for being caught masturbating. The fact that literally every single aspect of the infrastructure is set up to be for profit, to exploit your family. From arrest quotas, to plea deal quotas, to the corporate run phone system, the prison labor gimmick slave labor used to make products for company profit, not to better the community or help society. Prison is a business, a corrupt, criminal, awful business run by politicians and special interests that are more evil than the inmates. Not me. My fiancé was in state prison for 2 years when he was 18 to 20. He worked in the kitchen and said all the meat labeled there was labeled not for human consumption. He told other inmates about it and he got kicked out of his kitchen job and put in the hole for telling people. How shitty the toilets can be, especially when you have to share a cell or pod and they basically have to listen to you shit in the middle of the night. I didn't go to prison, but I went to jail. And what fucked me up the most is, when it would rain, or when they would cut the grass around the jail, we could smell the rain or the fresh cut grass through the vents. I laid there just wishing I could go mow the grass outside. I found that the worst part of being locked up is you are deprived of all of your senses. You taste horrible things, you smell horrible things, you feel horrible things, you hear horrible things, and see horrible things. All around it's a horrible place to be. And it's really hard to truly understand that, unless you have been locked up. That some guys will turn B and take turns taking and receiving, but when before they were locked up they were straight. A neighbor of mine was locked up for murder and released sometime before I was born. It's one of those things where everyone knew about it but no one talked about it. I remember him telling me the story of why he was in there and what it was like. Very rarely did, and the most surprising thing in his experience was that the smaller / quieter / weaker / more vulnerable in general were typically left alone. It's only if you acted like a big shot did people want to fight you. Also, picking fights with said smaller / quieter / weaker / more vulnerable ones will instantly get you a non-stop flogging by other inmates until your spirit broke. Russian here. My friend did time few years ago. Some prisoners are forced to become roosters. That means they must stay in the loo and wait. Anytime someone poops, they must quickly come and clean the toilet. They must stay there 24/7. So if there are 4 roosters in the building, they have 6-hour shifts in the loo. If there are 2 of them, they have 12 shifts, and so on. No one can even touch that roosters, cause if you touch a rooster, you become the rooster yourself. Time stands still for most cons. I gave New York State 18 years straight, and I really expected to come back to the same time period at which I went in. Even though you have access to TVs, newspapers, etc., it's still like being frozen in a specific era. Officers run betting syndicates on how many written warnings and nickings they can give out as well as extra points if they can purposefully cause fights and assaults by putting certain people in a cell together. Guys will beat off all the time, watching TV or movies, looking at guards, standing in the bathroom, everywhere. Anyone they choose as the object of their lust, in their mind, they fucked. But it's not gay, because prison. Not a con but someone I knew was. I don't know if this is where I live specific, but apparently they put medicine in their Kool-Aid to prevent them from getting hard to prevent rape. Not as fucked up as some of the other things here, but an interesting fact I learned. Obligatory not an ex-con. In a local prison in Ireland it's open door, so it's been known for the cons to leave and walk 30 minutes to the nearest pub and then call the police on themselves to get a lift back. They usually get sent to the more secure ones after that, but it's nice that they have the option. I was in a UK prison, and compared to a lot of stories here it was pretty luxurious. By that, I mean diabetic didn't just die. For me, the weirdest thing to adjust to was just being a number. I still remember my prison number 13 years later, like it's a second name. That and the fact that, if someone wants to be your friend, it's because they want something. Everybody is only looking out for themselves. I was so naive it's a miracle I did as well as I did. Good job I look scarier than I am. Con/employee relationships can be sneaky. When I was going through training to work in the prison system, I thought I'd never be caught dead doing favors or being friendly with an inmate. Eventually, after seeing the same inmate every day for months, cleaning your office, taking the trash, you realize they are human too. He wears a cross around his neck. He carries a bottle of adobo in his poker for mealtime. He's active in church. He's a painter and loves pigeons. You find out his hobbies and bits about his life and soon you see about getting him an extra blanket or a new pair of shoes and you forget he stabbed his wife 9 times. Everyone is out to get you. If there's an advantage to be gained from you, people will attempt to exploit it. Sometimes it's mutually beneficial. Sometimes they are trying to pull themselves up by pulling you down. But the hardest thing to deal with is lack of outside contact. If you're not getting visits, phone calls, or letters, it is death. Those are your only escapes from the reality of being incarcerated. My family shut me out, and I'm still extremely bitter about it. Anyone that was there and helped has cemented my loyalty to them for life. My uncle just went out from prison 8 years ago. His worst experience there was how the inmates make alcohol. The warden does not allow alcohol since it's forbidden, so what they do is they melt plastic, burn old rags and bed sheets, and add water to it. It tastes like shit, but it really makes them drunk. My uncle said that he can only drink 2 cups because his stomach would hurt. There are even reports of his cellmates dying after digesting that poison, literally. Luckily, he's not one of them. He lived enough to tell the tale. He's now 68 years old. For a couple months, after getting home my girlfriend would catch me pissing in the corner of the room in the middle of the night, sleepwalking. Probably because our bathroom was in our room, 3 feet from our bed. Also, when I'd dream while incarcerated, I'd have dreams of being free, in which I'd either freak out and wake up because I didn't want to get in trouble for not doing my time, had a lot of backup time, or I'd not realize and wake up to a chow call. A relative mine has been in the job for 6 months. In his first week someone got their throat cut, then someone almost escaped. Recently someone died in a seg unit. People get beaten senseless all the time. Shit does happen. Not an ex-con, ex-correctional officer, but what I've realized is that most people on the outside don't realize how long 1 year really is. The mindfuck of prison at its basic level is denial of the freedom to move around and make decisions. We don't realize how much time we spend every day just considering options and going to do things. Inmates don't have that to think about to participate in. At night you have to flush your farts. If you're in a small room with 4 other guys, you can't just crank one out like you do at home. It's not like you can open a window or the door to air the room out. So, unless you want to get the shit kicked out of you, if you feel like you have to fart in the middle of the night, you have to get up, put your ass on the toilet, let her loose, and flush it down. Watch that new Netflix documentary called Jailbirds. You'll learn about toilet talking. It's completely disgusting. They don't just talk using toilets, they also transfer materials via toilets. Those are sewer lines, and stuff comes out brown with shit. That when it gets to winter time, so many homeless people will rob and steal just to get into prison for a few weeks for a warm bed, 3 meals a day and a hot shower. To some homeless people prison is like a spa vacation. Not an inmate, but most of my family are prison guards. No one dies in prison. They take your corpse, slap it in an ambulance, and you don't get pronounced dead until you arrive at the hospital, so technically you die off the property. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment and subscribe. The support is greatly appreciated. Turn that notification bell on to never miss a video, and continue the conversation in the comment section below.